What's going on, guys? So I recently went to see The Pope's Exorcist. Now, typically, a horror film that releases in April is not a good sign, to say the least. But this one, I genuinely thought it was really fun. Like, it kind of went a little bit off the rails towards the end, but like, in the same sort of way that Supernatural does, the TV show. It was quirky, it was cool. It wasn't perhaps the scariest. There were moments that were a little bit creepy, but the whole film was just sort of enjoyable. I don't think it was that long. I think it was only about an hour and 40 minutes. I should have probably Googled that before I started the video. But the general premise, as is most possession films, is there is a demon. It possesses a child. This child was creepy enough to begin with before being possessed, so that's how you know things were going to go wrong. And this demon, whilst possessing the child, asks for one priest in particular. He names the priest that he wants to come and speak to him because they have got a vendetta, we'll say. That priest in question, as you could imagine based on the name of the film, is the Pope's personal exorcist. So, like, if Exorcist is a job title, this fella is the CEO of Exorcists, played by the gladiator himself, Russell Crowe. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I get very confused between Russell Crowe and Gerard Butler. To me, they're the same person. And I bet Gerard Butler hates that these days. He must do, because he is in great shape for his age, whereas Russell Crowe is just seemingly just settling in and just doing what he wants. But it's cool because it means he gets to play these characters like in this film and in Unhinged, where he plays a big, imposing guy, but that has a sense of humour and is charismatic. So Russell Crowe plays a priest of the name Gabriel Amort, or Amorth. I think the pronunciation of the dude's name kind of seems to depend on whether it was an Italian person saying it or an American person saying it. But either way, this is a dude that apparently exists in real life. He was an actual exorcist, and this film is apparently based to some extent off of a book that he wrote. So possibly a true story, or about as true as these things can get. But when I walked out of the film having enjoyed myself, something that I was hoping was maybe this can be the next Conjuring universe sort of thing, where we get films based upon the other things that this prince has apparently done. This priest. That's the Prince of Persia videos coming through right there. Because, for example, the Conjuring films, all of them are based off the adventures and case studies of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And whether or not they even happened doesn't matter, because it makes for good films. And bit of a possible spoiler, but not really a spoiler, so keep that in mind. At the end of this film, they basically say that what the events of this film were 1 out of 200, basically. Which means theoretically there can be other things that this priest may have done, even if they have to just lie even more, make it up, even if it's not based on what the real Gabriel Amort did. Just have Russell Crowe go and do it. The dude seems to have enough money that he's taking any role that he thinks is interesting, and I love it when actors do that. Another actor that does that right now is Mr. Daniel Radcliffe himself. He just does what he wants. He made his money, now he's chilling. And I would imagine that Russell Crowe is probably chilling as well, being as Gladiator was the success that it was. So if Russell Crowe just wants to keep playing this funny, slightly imposing, tall man priest fella in a series of films that can release every year like every other horror film that ever existed ever, I'd be down for that. I quite like these exorcism movies. A few months ago, last year, there was another Exorcist film, and that one was called Pray for the Devil. Now that film was just awful. It was so bad. I didn't even go with my girlfriend to see that one because she was away at the time, so I went on my own, but it was bad. This, however, despite the fact that it released in April, it was pretty entertaining. Like I say, I don't think it was the scariest film in the world, and like the demon himself was even a little bit funny, but at most I think it was a bit gross in certain places, because it does the same sort of thing that the original Exorcist did, where the state of the possessed kid decays over time. So like towards the end of the film, the kid's so gummy, like his teeth are just fucked, and he's like, his nose is like broken, and it's kind of hard to look at when the kid's there like screaming with his gummy broken ass face. Like it's fucked. But like I said, it was an enjoyable film. I don't imagine that it's going to be in cinemas for very long, because I feel like films like this don't tend to be. Like, I would bet that by the time next week rolls around, it won't be in the cinema anymore. People are often asking me, am I going to go and see Mario? Yes, I am. But there are lots of films coming out right now that are probably not going to be in the cinema for very long, whereas I would be willing to bet that Mario is going to be in the cinema for like a month or two. So we've got plenty of time to go and see that. There are quite a few references to the original Exorcist film in this. It's got nothing to do with the original Exorcist film, but I think a lot of the decisions made in this were little nudges and throwbacks to it, for the fact that How do I not spoil things? I think it's shown in the trailer. There is a head twist, as you know, the head twist from The Exorcist. That's in here. The child does a lot of swearing because it's possessed by a demon, like, again, Exorcist. There are other things that are references as well that I shan't spoil. But this was a fun film. I enjoyed it. Like, here's a way you know that this film was quite entertaining and engaging. There was a couple of people to our right in the cinema that checked their phone a few times more than I was going to be okay with. Like, they were one or two more checks away from checking their phone before I would have had to say something. And the film managed to engage them enough that they stopped. And that is always a good sign. If you can get the attention of somebody that clearly has a goldfish attention span to begin with, you've done something right. So yeah, I really enjoyed this film. If you like horror films at all, if you like Russell Crowe, if you like possession films, you know exactly what you're getting into with this. There used to be quite a lot of possession and exorcist films that would come out, but I think they're kind of rarer now. There's not so many of them. Most horror films are more grounded in realism. Like, you don't get many ghosts and demons these days. Everything is like serial killers, home invasions, things like that. But yeah, I enjoyed the film, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video and are subscribed, and I'll see you later.